Hello, Vimbai. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. I'm well. I'm on holiday actually. I have a few days off of work, so I'm very relaxed and I'm feeling good.
If you were stuck on a desert island, what three things would you need with you?
One of my favorite books, Kintu, is currently my favorite. I've read it 3 times now, so definitely have to have that. Sunscreen, lots of sunscreen, as much as I can possibly take. And a person that I enjoy being around, who I can laugh with and cry with and be silent with. Those 3 things.
What does feminism mean to you, and how does it benefit women?
So for me, feminism is really just the dismantling of anything patriarchal. Really what we have in the society that we live in now is a structure where men seem to have more power politically, economically, socially than women do, and weaponize that frequently. And that's something that I think is completely unacceptable. So for me, feminism is really destroying the idea that men inherently have more power over women, that, and quite frankly, that, cisgender men or women have more power over trans women, over non-binary people, over other kind of queer people as well. All of that kind of power that results in women specifically, but also other members of the LGBTQI community being oppressed, being marginalized. All of that system and all of that structure needs to go. And that really is the premise of feminism. It's about dismantling the entire superstructure that hinders us all from living our best lives, really, and being the best versions of ourselves, from having power over our own decisions, from having autonomy, and from being the best that we can be. So that's really feminism for me.
Do you think Western feminism is practical in a country like Zimbabwe?
No, and I don't think it should be. I think Western feminism is fixated on the idea of the individual and individual choice. And I think that there's a lot of issues here. So I think there's a conflation between what people assume to be a good thing, which is choosing what you do with your everyday life, your career, what you eat, what you wear, all of those things. And all of those things are definitely important. But there is a difference between, the kind of structure that we live in that allows for the choices that we make. So our choices are not within a vacuum. And I think that's something that Western feminism tends to ignore. We live primarily, Africans and Zimbabweans as well, within societies where women don't have basic rights, just kind of basic things that afford them to live full, abundant lives. And I think the idea that you can simply wish that away by choosing to live a certain way just doesn't really work. I think that at the end of the day, what we're really advocating for within Zimbabwean society, within African society, is that the systems that we live in need to change. So that goes back to the policies that we have at government level, the way that our healthcare systems work, the way that our educational systems work, the way that people access jobs, the way that people can access, different things that are available to them through the state, that they should be afforded no matter who they are. All of those different superstructures then kind of layer down to the everyday, household issues, things to do with sexual assault, things to do with different ways that women are policed, particularly women vendors, for example, in the CBD. All of those things are connected. And I think we need to acknowledge that it isn't just about the choices that I make as a woman. It really is about the structures that we live in that need to go, that are not linked in any way to my empowerment. And I think those are the things that we're really trying to change as feminists in Zimbabwe, and to make sure that we're paving the way, not just for ourselves but for the collective as a whole. Because it really is about the collective. There's no point in me having the freedom to wear what I like, or to go where I like, or to study what I like, if there are millions of other women who can't do the same. The whole point of feminism is to make sure that all women have the same rights. All women can do as they please with their bodies, with their time, with whatever they're wearing, with wherever they're going, with who they want to marry. All of these kind of everyday, even mundane decisions that we make are really important to us being autonomous human beings. And it's important that our feminism reflects that, and that it's not just a kind of singular experience that we're basing our entire politics on.
What is the one thing that you miss the most when you're out of Zimbabwe?
Family. I think the saddest thing about, the situation in Zim and the economy being so difficult to deal with is not being able to be home, to do work that I love. And that means that I don't get to spend time around my family as much as I would like to. And the older that I get, the more I find that important. I think when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I was like, doesn't really matter. It's fine. I'm living my best life. But I think the older that I get, the more I want to be around my family, the more I want to contribute, the more I want to, volunteer on the weekend and meet up a friend for ice cream and, all of those random things. So family and friends definitely is what I miss the most when I'm not in Zim.
So who is the most inspiring person to you in Zimbabwe and why?
That's a tough one. I read that and I thought, I don't really know. I mean, I have so many. I think in terms of women, Fadzai Mahere is definitely somebody that I watch from afar and that I've really been impressed by in terms of her ability to speak her mind in an incredibly difficult circumstance. I think when you're in politics, it's the kind of space where you're so and as a woman, I think it's even more difficult because you're even kind of subject to different kinds of violence as well, including physical violence. So the fact that she's remained so resolute in the way that she's, said her politics, she speaks her mind, she speaks from a place of knowledge as well. She isn't, kind of just spewing nonsense, which is what we tend to see. I'm really inspired by that. And I think, I'll choose Fadzai because I think at the end of the day, in the last, few years, she's really made a dent in terms of really changing the way that we should perceive politics in Zim. You
were always very vocal and honest on Twitter. How do you handle the stereotypes of being seen as an angry Black woman?
That's funny. I don't think I handle it. I think I just ignore it. I am aware of the fact that I'm generally quite nice and approachable. Being nice is not a chore for me. It's just who I am. At the same time, I don't, really pander to the idea that I need to be likable. I used to definitely be a people pleaser. I really wanted everyone to like me. I was worried if somebody didn't. And I think with age, just got over that naturally. I think at some point you just stop caring because you have too many things to care about. And one of the things that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of anything is what other people think of you. I think it's important to be kind. I think it's important to be gracious. And I am those things in general, but I'm not going to go out of my way to be those things just so that somebody doesn't call me angry or bitter. I think life is too short and it's fine if they think that way.
Yeah. Given that your father was a politician, would you ever consider going into politics? And if yes, which party would you join?
Short answer, never, and none of them. I particularly feel strongly about any party that exists right now. I'm hoping that in the future that changes. I do think that, being politically involved and politically aware is incredibly important. I think the interesting thing about being what we call a ZANU kid is that I learned what not to do. I learned what not to believe in. I learned what kind of politics does not serve the greater purpose of, the people of Zimbabwe at large. So the education, the political education that I got just from being my father's daughter was to not do everything that he did, basically. And I think that at the end of the day, it's about making sure that we are represented in a way that makes sense, that is representative of all of the needs that all of the Zimbabweans have, both those who are at home and those who are abroad. And I just don't see a party that's really going within that direction. I am more oppositionary in my politics in general. However, I don't even know which MDC I would join. So at this point, you know, I would not join any party. And no, politics is definitely not for me. I like some privacy in my life. I saw what it did to my dad. I'm not interested in living that kind of life. It's far too involved for me.
What's your ideal self-care day?
Oh, definitely a spa day. So I love massages. I'm the kind of person who will spend whatever I need to spend on a great massage. And I love like spas that are just very like serene. Like, I mean, they should be, but like there's ones that just have the music in the background, like the low music in the background, and like the lights are very low, and everybody's kind of speaking to you in hushed tones and all of that. That's my shit. That's my vibe. That's my whole vibe. After that, I like to swim, just like leisurely swimming. I'm not a strong swimmer at all. I fit the black stereotype. I'm all right. I won't drown, but I definitely like a leisurely swim. I like getting my nails done, but also I just like switching off. I think I spend a lot of time online and in front of a computer using my phone, so I do like to switch off and just like be disconnected for the rest of the day.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sparing some time to speak with us today.
No worries.
I have one last question, and that is, any closing tips for women and girls in Zimbabwe?
Sure. There's a lot, but I think the main thing is we live in a world, unfortunately, that won't always recognize you. No matter how hard you work, no matter how nice you are, no matter how big your dreams are, or they will use you as a token to show what other women should be doing. And I just want to say, at the end of the day, that shouldn't stop you from being exactly who you want to be. I think it's important to acknowledge what your limitations are. I know that there's a big kind of movement around resisting everything and throwing out all the toys and resisting all the time. And I know that that's not possible for all women at all times, right? I think that we all have different capacities to resist. And I think the one thing that I will say is resist in the small ways. If that means, you know, wearing the pair of jeans that's a little tighter than what your mother's comfortable with, but you really want to wear, then that is your point of resistance. If it means, you know, taking up a job that is in an industry that is male dominated, that people have advised you against, but that you feel strongly about, that is your resistance. And I think it's important to acknowledge that you can resist within the small ways, within the life that you live, in very small ways that are still effective to you. Don't let anybody belittle that. Don't let anyone make you feel like you should be doing more if you cannot. Live your truth completely. And that's really all that matters. And at the end of the day, you need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I've put in 100%. I'm happy with who I am. I'm presenting myself the way that I want to present myself. And that is really the crux of happiness, in my opinion.
That's great. Thank you so much for those wonderful, wise words.
You're welcome. No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, great. Have a great day.